Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. And I want to welcome everyone to another coffee time with All for Success. And here on this channel, we love to do everything to support a lot of the things going on with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. And of course, in these times when they're facing a lot of challenges, I like to um, add in my different thoughts on how they are coping and how things look from the point of view of a um, parent of adult children, by the way, and how they may be able to navigate some of these challenges that are in their path. So, with that said, I'd like to thank all of you who have had the opportunity to subscribe. Make sure you also hit the like button, please. Even if you don't like it, just hit the like button anyway. That will help support my channel. It will also help get a little bit more traction in the views. I'm still a newbie at this, so with every one of these live chats, I find that I am learning something new and I figure out something that I didn't know before. I'm having a real blast at it. So make sure you hit the like button. Also, subscribe if you're interested, and that will give you a little notification or a little bell at any time that I actually go live. Um, Check in every now and then. Maybe I'll have some new videos up or some other ones that you haven't seen, and you can go back and look at those live videos. In the future, I do plan to clean up my actual video feed. And I'll possibly make a few short little videos that will be on the standard video page. And of course, I'm going to try to find some inspirational items to put on there. So, with that being said, take a look at the coffee being made. Get your own coffee made if that's what you'd like to do while we're going through this chat. I won't be long, I promise. And if you are also out and about, then this gives you a chance to take that walk while listening to this live stream. So hopefully, either one of those things, doing your bike ride, doing your walk, or getting a cup of coffee, it will keep your inspiration and motivation level up, and you'll be ready to do all the errands you need to do this Saturday morning. All right, so let's talk about some of the things that have happened over the past week. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, we have now found out that not only did the Sussex team respond to the invitation to the coronation, which, for those of you who may not be aware, the coronation will be held on May 6th in the UK at the Grand Westminster Abbey. Now, that being said, May 6th is also the son, little Archie, his birthday. That's Harry's son and Meghan's son. So this coronation has been scheduled to be featured on little Archie's birthday. Wasn't that lovely? Wasn't that great? So anyway, the UK people, the people of the UK, are all saying, "Oh my gosh, this is simply a coincidence. It has absolutely nothing to do with being held on the little boy's birthday." Now, while they had that reaction, they also had the reaction of, "It's been more than a month and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have not yet returned a response. How dare they? How rude." Okay, they said that. Then they also added the fact that now that the invitation has been responded to, oh, the problem is that the invitation was responded to so late. It's so bad. There were so many chaotic plans. Okay, they did that. And then lastly, Harry replied, I'll be there. Meghan's response, I'm not coming. Oh boy, now what do we do? So, the UK people of the UK media, they've been confused for a moment because no one wanted her there in the first place. She's not going to be welcomed. She's going to be booed if she shows up, which has now been met with, I'm not coming. So now it's, she's a coward. She doesn't want to come. She doesn't want to show her face. She's afraid she's going to get booed. Out of the same face, they had just said, we don't want her to come. I have to tell you, folks, the UK spin master media, I do not know how many people they have paid to step out into the public arena and scorch earth Meghan Markle. But they are now, of course, tripping over themselves with the level of lies that they are putting out daily. It's becoming a comedy series. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow this and see how it all turns out. Now, of course, on the squatty side, I do find it interesting, which I'm not surprised, is that squatties are breaking off into different teams as far as those who felt that one of them should go, those who felt that neither of them should attend, and those who felt that they both should have attended. So everyone had a viewpoint and a thought on how the Sussex team should have responded. Now, I will have to tell you, I think I mentioned this in one of my previous. I was of the mentality that as a parent, looking at this from mom's point of view, I wouldn't want my children subjected to any of this. Wouldn't want them to go anywhere near the place. But I did have to concede that, okay, look, if they have to go, if they are going to go, what I wanted them to do was to show out. I mean, just be completely ridiculous in their show offness. Oh, excuse me, there's a motorcycle going down my street. I wanted them to, if they were going to go, to show up with 5 bodyguards each. I wanted them to show up dressed in gold sequins. I wanted them not to even sit in the area where the monarch was, but to have an area to themselves, which gained all the attention. You know, in other words, I wanted to be like ultra petty. Now, would that be the right way to behave? Of course not. But I mean, wouldn't that have been fun? So what we'll have to do is we will have to watch Harry. Harry will attend, and Harry will behave properly. He will not misbehave, okay, because he's a good son. He will probably participate wherever he is asked, and then he will hop back on his flight and get back to work as if nothing happened. So that is what I expect from Harry, because that's the kind of person that Harry is. He's, in general, he's a good kid. So we will have to see what will come from this. Now, like many of you have also mentioned, because the royal family operates the way that they do, and I like to talk about them in reference to any royal court. And for those of us, and I don't know how many of you are into this in the way that I have been as a young person. I used to really enjoy watching old movies about kings and queens, and you know, now there are a lot of film out there, a lot of movies about various dynasties from China, Korea, Vietnam, and they highlight a lot of the activities and the discord between members of these families. In most cases, for example, the whole purpose of the royal family, that bloodline of the person who is the king or the king to be, in general, fights would break out, people would get murdered. Um, and many times, um, wars would be started. I mean, good Lord, you have only to look at actually the history of the British royal family. I mean, the battles right before King Henry VIII were phenomenal. So the issue of a person joining the royal family and somehow being of the mindset that these people are nice, they're kind, they can be trusted, is a bit of a stretch. I mean, in all practicality, what's happening now between, let's say, the two sons, Harry and William, the fact that they have diverged in ancient times, there would be a war. People would gather their supporters, and there would have been a bloodbath. But we're in modern times, so it's a battle in the media. It's a battle in the public sentiment. It's a battle for the hearts and minds, right? So it's a different type of world event. So with that in mind, let's take a look at an advertisement um, that is from an old days. If you are able to view that, what's happening is a feature of the way things were done back in the day versus how they're happening today. And if you take a look around, you will note that what used to be um, a medium of advertising for products and services, people became aware that you could control how people thought and felt based on what you showed them or what you told them or how you tried to force them to feel about a particular topic. And this was the prelude to the power of advertising. It's a huge business. We have a couple of thoughts on photos of the past, like, cigarette ads, for example. They were huge. And convincing people to smoke cigarettes and smoke more cigarettes, that was a billion-dollar industry. I'm sorry, a multi-billion-dollar industry. If you could convince people that what they needed to do is smoke cigarettes, they made cigarettes that made people think that they would feel more masculine. They had cigarettes that made people feel they would become rich, wealthy, if they smoked this cigarette. Or if they, in women's case, I remember one of my favorite packs was Virginia Slims. They were sleek and they looked like the type of cigarette that sophisticated women smoked. Ooh. But that's the power of the media. And I just want to point out to each of us that the media can control, literally, can control how the majority of people think and feel. And it's not because you, the individual, may have initially had the thoughts and feelings, but they put them out there in a way that they do not give you a choice to decide. So let's take a look at how the UK media um, performs its operation. Now, think about this. The UK media or the pundits, first of all, usually when they open um, their television programs, from the very start of their television programs, usually they have a panel of people, and the subtitle might say something like um, Harry and Meghan um, have embarrassed the king and queen, or something to that effect. And they'll begin with that premise underneath the bottom. You have to read that first. And then after you read that part, the next thing that they will do is usually they're sitting there laughing. They're usually laughing really loudly, cackling at the fact that they're about to say something rude and awful when it comes to Harry and Meghan. And then the four people on the panel, they're all joining in on the laughter. Ha 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 ha. And then they say each something rude. And so as any person watching this, you're going to be persuaded into this room with these people sitting on this panel. You're going to feel like, oh, I need to be a part of that. So I too will cackle and laugh at the fact that whatever this joke is that's being told about Harry and Meghan, that I find it extremely funny. Oh my goodness, And they say some of the rudest things. And I often wonder, what are they going to do if the tables turn? I'm kind of concerned with all of these faces that have put their voice behind the ridicule. I'm wondering to myself, how are they going to handle this if the tables turn? And I tell you what, deep down inside, I truly do feel that the tables are going to turn. But I maybe it would be years after I'm dead and gone, but I don't know. There's something about the atmosphere around this entire situation that is pointing me in the direction that the tables may upend themselves. And the royal family, the royal family UK, may find themselves in a very interesting position. Let's take a look back. You have the king and queen here, who everyone their age, and I'm not quite their age, but I'm at the age where I do remember Princess Diana. I remembered when Prince Charles met Princess Diana, all of that. I did not forget the role that Camilla played in their lives. I did not forget that Princess Diana appeared to be a very decent person, appeared to be a very caring person. She appeared to be someone who wanted to do kind of a very altruistic outreach. Whether it was totally sincere or not, she seemed to be very good at it. And I absolutely remember her relationship as it was presented to us with Prince Charles. Likewise, I also recall that Prince Charles was not particularly interesting to anyone. What he was or was not doing was of no real consequence to at least us. I mean, on the American side, we weren't interested. But many Americans were interested in the story of the Diana, the princess that he met. But prior to that, many Americans could care less and probably didn't even know Prince Charles's name. But when he married Diana, that actually brought him into the forefront. People were like, oh, wow, he married this beautiful woman, and how lovely, and she's a lovely person. But then we had to be we had to be taken into the secondary part of that, which was watching their marriage fall apart. We all had to experience it with them. And as we experienced this with him, most of us were of the mindset, well, this was a lovely person. This was a lovely girl. Why in the world would this man maintain another woman in his life when he has such a lovely bride? Now, and I'm saying this from the point of view of those of us who have that memory. So it's interesting to me, again, back to advertising and media, the power of it. We are now supposed to be of the mindset, somehow via movies, media, television, papers, we're supposed to be of the thought process that Princess Diana might have been a tad bit unstable. You know, that, oh, the woman possibly caused problems for the royal family. You know, and we're supposed to believe that, you know, the royal family being wonderful as they are, that periodically these women show up and cause problems. You know, we're supposed to believe that about Princess Diana. We're supposed to now believe that about Meghan Markle and all the women in between. And yet, even they won't let out a hint of support of the women who are struggling with this environment. I mean, even the people in there that are maybe suffering from some of the same conditions, they will not even let out a hint of support. They won't even say something to the effect of, well, you know, this life is very difficult. It's very hard to adjust to. And I can understand why someone would, you know, not want to participate in this lifestyle. They won't even say something as benign as that. It's just an interesting thought. Now, you had a situation here where early in their marriage, Harry and Meghan, that the royal family had this opportunity to shine. I mean, they were given an opportunity to show how supportive they could be of Prince Harry, how proud they could be of Prince Harry in the fact that he selected a bride who was as beautiful and entertaining as she was. You know, they could have done that. As they referenced it this week, they wanted to reference the fact that, you see, Prince Charles was supportive during her wedding and he walked her down the aisle, and they want to say that she's being rude and snubbing him by not attending the wedding. I'm sorry, by not attending his coronation. When in fact, he and the rest of the royal family, over the 3 years that Meghan was married to Harry and they lived in the UK, he had every opportunity. He had the most opportunity to simply say out loud to the public something positive. He didn't have to have a speech written. All he had to do was say something positive. Something as small as, again, I understand that, you know, she's married into the royal family and it can be challenging. He could have just simply made a statement like that. Something as simple as, but what we're going to do is we're going to offer her every support that we can. We really don't want her to feel that we don't love and support her. That's all he had to say. Didn't have to do it. That's all he had to say. That statement alone would have been the message to the media, the message to the rest of the world, that You can pick on her if you want to, but we are going to support her. But he wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that. So now we're looking at the results of this, okay? What are the results? What are some of the things that have become resultant to the fact that, Queen Elizabeth was just holding the towing the line and holding the ship? Her passing. The Commonwealth, as we know it, is slowly disintegrating. We're watching every member of the Commonwealth have discussions now about the fact that they may not want to participate in the Commonwealth. Now, I don't know if that will significantly impact, their trade or their position on delivering goods and services, but what's happening is because they have not developed the ability to modify their behavior since 1066, the year 1066, and they've only been able to continue to conduct their behavior the same way, unless they know something that we do not know, unless they are aware that their cruelty and their distance is going to always benefit their empire, unless this is something that they are aware of and we are not, what we're seeing is basically the fall of the UK, in my opinion, right? We're watching the Barbados have a conversation where they said, yeah, we're going to talk about it because we don't really think we're interested. We're watching Jamaica say, on my favorite, remember, there was the guy, Trenchtown Man, and this, of course, if any of you watch Royal Sussex, you know who I'm talking about. The Trenchtown Man wants to know where his, $246 trillion is. Jamaica thinking about, well, we might not need to be doing this Commonwealth thing. Canada is a little bit quieter. Australia, they definitely have people in position that are saying, yeah, you know what? We might not want to do this anymore. And yet the actual royal family is holding themselves to the same mentality. So back again to Meghan and Harry. Simple things. A simple thing. Everybody, stand fast. This is what we're going to do. We're going to give her some time to acclimate to the family. Let's talk about it. But no, they came out the gate right away. We're not going to do this for you. We're not going to do that for you. You can't do this and you can't do that. You're not going to have this and you're not going to have that. That was day one. Your kids ain't going to get this. Your kids ain't going to get that. You ain't going to get this and you ain't going to get that. We can't pay for you and we can't pay for that. What? What? Amazing behavior out the gate. We don't want you to have anything to be proud of. And that was that. So, without a lot of fanfare, yeah, I can understand why their decision to spread across the coronation has been made. I totally get it. Now, the last part of this is this, or the last grouping of this, is the fact that Harry is still got his court cases going on over there. He is still going to be dealing with whatever is happening as a part of the wiretapping, paying people to get information, and all of the underhanded dealings that have brought him to having to fight with the media. And that's going to be a long haul. It's not like this is going to be something that's going to be done in a day or two. So since he decided to go to the coronation by himself, or at least he's going to go to the coronation and she's staying here, then I am going to assume that he's going to go to the coronation and he'll probably be there the days of the coronation. I believe it's 3 days of events, but I don't know if he's going to participate in any of those events. However, he has to prepare to be back in court, and I believe it is the 9th of May. And so he will continue from there. And this, I mean, without a doubt, hopefully their marriage is strong. Hopefully their relationship is strong. Hopefully their teamwork is powerful, because they will technically have to really fight against all the powers and obstacles that are coming their way. They will definitely be in a battle against the world. And so we will have to see how that works out. But I am hoping that they know they have a lot of support from those who are considered the squaddies, because they're going to need it. So what we are hoping, though, is that once this coronation is finished, that they could basically wipe their hands of this family for at least 4 or 5 years. They don't have to be a part of anything that they are doing. And I'm hoping that in that time that they absolutely flourish, and that they are able to get over some of these obstacles. And I'm hoping that out of this, that a blow is dealt to that ruthless, horrible tabloid media. I'm hoping that they are put in their space of deservedness. And I hope that all the talk shows and the TV pundits go right along with them. So that is what I'm looking forward to. So, as I know, um, the last thing I wanted to say about the whole situation, as the squaddies are debating, the whether or not they should have supported the coronation and things like that, is to relay that yes, royal courts are nasty places. And, we have only to look way back in some of the biblical literature, and you will see stories of royal courts that were doing dastardly things, and the different people in those royal courts were getting favors from people and putting folks in situations. I don't know if you all recall the story of Queen Jezebel, who was a fabulous character. And because our prophet John the Baptist made a comment about her lifestyle, because she was considered somewhat of a promiscuous queen. She had been with one brother and then another to become queen. And John the Baptist said this publicly and basically put her character on display. And this woman, according to the biblical text, orchestrated a situation where she basically put her daughter, who was a fantastic dancer. Think about today's great dancers and the women who are very beautiful at what they do. I always think like, at the level of any of our celebrities today. And because her daughter was a very seductive dancer, she knew that the king would offer her whatever she wanted if she did this specific kind of very provocative dance for him. And so she had her daughter do this dance for the king. And then when he asked her what she wanted, whatever it is you want, I'll give it to you. Her request was for the head of John the Baptist. So that story is just a hint of ancient royal court behavior. And even today in the modern times, we know it's not much different. And so within that court, there are probably people scheming and twisting and doing things and saying things. And we're going to dig into the spare a little bit later. I've been reading, a lot of people have been reading it and finished it and absorbed it, and I can understand why, but we're going to talk a little bit more about it differently, especially once this wonderful coronation is over. We're going to talk a little bit more about the spare, because the spare is, it's a book and it's fun to read, but it is also, and I have found, and we're going to talk about this, it's also a roadmap um, to where the finger should be pointed. And it's a roadmap to track who is responsible for what and the questions that should be asked. So we're going to get into that. It's a little bit of a mystery there, and I didn't realize that until I read through a couple of passages while Harry is going through this court battle. But we're going to get into these portions of the spare, and I hope you guys will join me and stay tuned as we start to pick that apart, because woven into the fabric of the funny stories and things about his past, woven into that story is some of the royal court trickery, the royal court strategies, and the royal court's cruelty. Woven into it, Harry is also providing a roadmap. And we're going to see where that roadmap leads. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to stay tuned for that. And hopefully you guys will have fun reading through a lot of that with me. So, with that being said, we're going to wrap it up. And I want everyone to keep their walking steps up, keep your count up, enjoy the wonderful springtime that's coming. And we're going to be inspired to stay in shape, ladies and gentlemen. So with that said, I'm going to sign out. And remember, once again, like and subscribe here at All for Success.